So in this video, I will be talking about one of the tasks for Reboot 33. You're here because you're trying to understand more about Reboot 33, understand why the tasks that we picked, the habits that we're trying to have you take action and implement, why we pick those, and how it can impact our ability for our nervous system to regulate itself and thus overall body health and vitality. So this one that I'm going to be going in on is going to be going in on fried foods and how that has actually a really negative impact on our cells, nerves, overall nervous system, and can lead to a bunch of nasty symptoms like dysautonomia, acid reflux, irregular heartbeat, dizziness, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease. I mean, the list goes on. This stuff is not ideal for you, and there's a few pieces of why, okay? Especially in terms of looking at it through a nervous system lens. So Reboot 33 is a nervous system challenge. I am addressing and providing this information through the lens of how does it impact my nervous system. With fried foods, there's really three pieces. One are the kind of fats that are typically in the oils that get fried to make the fried food. Fried food is the food made in oil. The oil contains fats. When we cook at a super high temperature like that, fried foods, are primarily a lot of the bad fats, especially when it gets heated at super high temperatures. It can contribute to the bad kind of cholesterol that doctors typically knock on, that they'll notice on your blood work and tell you, hey, you have high cholesterol, let's put you on a statin. Those are essentially mono unsaturated and saturated, or trans fats and saturated fats. Those are toxic. They create LDL, which is low density lipoprotein. That is the bad cholesterol. Cholesterol goes into two groups. You have LDL and HDL. LDL is the bad guy. HDL is the good guy. HDL stands for high density lipoprotein. LDL stands for low density lipoprotein. HDL actually will go grab an LDL and take it down the garbage chute and help flush it out and get it out of our system. So it's actually a detoxifier. High density lipoprotein is way more of the P protein density versus lipo. Lipo is fat, like liposuction, fat suction. So we want a lot more HDL, which means we need to eat a lot more protein. The LDL is a low density lipoprotein, meaning that it's not dense, so a lot more fat, a lot more lipids, and a huge proponent of creating it are fried foods. So when they're saying, hey, less fried foods, it's bad for your heart. Why is it bad for our heart? When we have so much LDL going through our blood flow, going through our circulation, it puts a lot of stress on our circulatory system and also our nervous system, specifically because it is actually toxic to our nerves. So when we have this LDL flowing around our bloodstream, we have nerve endings on all of our blood vessels. And so when that LDL might get stuck on a blood vessel, that can be the initiation of a formation of a plaque, leading to potential clots down the line. But we have a lot of LDL, high levels of LDL in our bloodstream. That's going to impact our nerves. And when that impacts our nerves, it's going to stress them out, which is going to stimulate our stress side of our nervous system called our sympathetic nervous system. So when that is being excessively stimulated, being more in a stress state, that's going to result in a higher heart rate, higher blood pressure. It's going to decrease our body's ability to kind of regulate the cholesterol, and so that is all kind of setting us up for this presentation of poor cardiovascular health. And a lot of that is driven through the nervous system stimulation of what this LDL bad guy is floating around, stimulating the stress response, which is going to have detrimental and negative effects long-term on cardiovascular health. So that's one piece. Fried foods, typically it's going to be containing a lot of trans fats, saturated fats, not of the good kind, a lot of omega-6s versus omega-3s, and that is going to really stress out our nervous system, leading towards negative effects on our cardiovascular system. So that's one piece, no fried foods. Second piece, oils. When oils get heated to a super high temperature, like they are when food's being fried, it's aggressively high in order to fry food. That oil, instead of staying in its kind of a healthy form, even if you have a healthy oil, if it stays in that, if you're heating up a healthy oil or even a bad oil at a super high heat, it'll break down into two very negative compounds. One is called acrylamide, and the other is called advanced glycation end products. Those are essentially oxidants for our body. Negative. It causes cellular and neurological oxidation, which is a big no-no in the health world, in the biochemical physiology world. We don't want oxidation to occur. That's why people say, oh, it's an antioxidant. You get this blue raspberry, or you eat a bunch of berries to get antioxidants. Drink that Baz drink. Drink the Body Armors. It's got antioxidants, pomegranate juice, vitamin water, It's because it contains a lot of those fruits, especially berries, contain a lot of enzymes and also products that will help neutralize the bad guys. The bad guys are called oxidative stress causers, essentially, which two of those biggest ones are called acrylamide and advanced glycation end products, which form when oils get heated up to a super high temperature because we want fried food. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. We want fried food, therefore I have food cooked in oil at a super high temperature. When oil is cooked at a super high temperature, it'll break down into two really bad dudes, acrylamide and advanced glycation end products, which cause a lot of oxidative stress on our nerves and our cells. When we have that kind of oxidative stress, that will increase activity of our sympathetic nervous system. Similarly to the LDL cholesterol, it'll increase activity of our sympathetic nervous system, which symptoms of that commonly are like higher heart rate, so palpitations, higher blood pressure, so hypertension. People typically are pretty anxious when they're in a state of sympathetic stress, so anxiety, they'll be less relaxed, they'll note a bunch of tension, especially around their neck and shoulders, a lot of tension. They might also have signs of like dysautonomia, so that could be polyvagal type stuff, that could be POTS type symptoms, that could be getting dizzy, fainting, heart rate going all over the place. It could be heartburn, indigestion. I mean, there's a slew of things. Dizziness, headaches, migraines, sleep issues. So a lot of those types of symptoms are potentially rooted in fried foods as a cause. More so what the cause is sympathetic stress. Okay, so I mean, especially as you watch these Reboot videos, everything we're geared towards is geared towards how can I lower sympathetic stress, how can I uptick parasympathetic activity. And that's the whole MO of this whole thing. So fried foods cause a lot of sympathetic stress occurring in our body. That was just piece number 2, was the oils, how they break down, and what those symptoms are, the typical end product when those oils are broken down due to us wanting to fry food. Piece number 3, this is the last piece, is that fried foods results in a lot of vitamin deficiencies because it impairs absorption and digestion due to the negative oils that are contained in fried foods. So fried foods typically lead to deficiencies in magnesium, vitamin B12, B as in boycott, and also vitamin D. So when we have those 3 are super important for nerve health. If we have the vitamins that are being deficient due to overconsumption of fried food, then our nerves won't be receiving the proper vitamins that they need, the proper micronutrients that they need in order for them to function optimally. So they're going to start having abnormal functions. That's where we might start having the dysautonomia type symptoms. We could even start getting some autoimmune type blood work presenting. Might get some dizziness, fainting, cardiovascular stuff. can even long-term can be neurodegenerative, which will lead us down the road of like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Those are all things that hopefully you don't want to experience. But it's all geared towards, this stuff it's messing up a lot in our body. There's a reason why fried food is bad. Those are just three of the biggest reasons, especially on impact of nervous system. I really haven't covered impact of gut or impact of heart, but since our nervous system is what's connecting everything together, that's where we feel like this has the greatest leverage point, is through our nervous system, and why fatty foods, fried foods really are not good for them. Now, our nerves do need fat. This is a disclaimer. Our nerves do need fat. We have two fats. We have omega-3s and omega-6s. One is anti-inflammatory, the other is inflammatory. The omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. Those are things like eggs, avocado, salmon, sardines. Those are heart healthy, those are cardioprotective, those are neuroprotective. Our nerves, every single one of our cells requires fat. So getting stuff that's fat-free really is not good for you. It's knowing which fats are clean, which fats are not. Trans fats we don't want, and typically saturated fats we don't want. But if it's sourced from meat like steak or ground beef or sardines or salmon or avocado or olive oil, those are going to be cardioprotective. We want those. The bad guys are omega-6s. Those we don't want. Those are the ones that are going to be resulting in those LDL cholesterol, the bad guy cholesterol getting created. Those are the ones that are going to be resulting in more of that oxidative type stress, causing more of that sympathetic type stress. We want really low sympathetic stress. We want really high parasympathetic activity. Those are two autonomic pieces of our nervous system, hence that word dysautonomia that I've mentioned a couple times. And we want a high omega-3 rich diet and low omega-6 diet. In terms of what is more healthy for you, less omega-6s is more healthy versus high omega-3s. So you could have high omega-3s and high omega-6s, or you could have low omega-3s, low omega-6s. The low omega-6s person is going to have better metabolic health versus high omega-3 and high omega-6 person. So the greatest leverage of that kind of quadrant I just made is a low omega-6. The overall best metabolic person would be a low omega-6, high omega-3s, but if you're trying to optimize for one, reduce the omega-6. Absolutely. That is one of the worst things for us, which is why we have no fried foods in our Reboot 33 challenge. So hopefully that video shed a little bit of light on why it's beneficial, why it's important, why we included it. We also have a no artificial sweetener, no artificial sugar video that if you haven't watched that yet, please check that out. That will explain a little bit more of the metabolic health side of things. And hopefully if you are someone that doesn't eat fried food, well then this piece will be an easy one for you to check off. If you do eat a lot of fried food, just start sauteing your food, minimize eating out. You don't know what they're putting in when you're eating out. So this challenge will ideally help you start to understand how to properly grocery shop for your long-term health, for your family's long-term health, and for your bloodline's long-term health. So with that being said, this is the conclusion of the fried food video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Please share a takeaway in the comments. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would like to be putting out more videos like this as the challenge continues to roll out and we start working on newer, bigger things in terms of the types of community challenges. But if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe. Not only will that help out the channel and help out the clinic, but that'll also put a big smile on my face. And I just went to the dentist, so I like to show it off.